So today we have 3 different presenters to review quite a bit of content with you. First, we're going to have Lance Luchow present about CMRI implementation, and he's a technical lead here at Acoustic. Next, we'll have Bobby Gregg, who's the push technical lead, talk about mobile push. And then our third presenter for the day is Laura Schultes, and she's a technical support engineer and is going to step through quite a bit of different content that relates to campaign and Exchange. So with that, I will turn it over to our first presenter, Lance.
Thanks, Kate. Hello and welcome. My name is Lance Luchow, a technical lead for our CRM integrations here at Acoustic. Today I want to share with you some best practices and tips within the Acoustic campaign, SMS, and CRMI products, so you can be prepared and ready for business during your holiday and peak seasons, no matter when they occur. While the holidays usher in peaks in marketing efforts and campaigns, having a plan and a process should be your year-round goal. Let's get started with some internal administrative readiness that your users should take into consideration. Marketing campaigns often span many features, workflows, data points, and other dependencies to be effective. Your users play a critical role in their awareness and understanding of what makes up the marketing process. The users and administrators. Not all users are admins. Be sure your team is aware of who the admins are and ensure there's also a backup admin if needed. Getting locked out of your account, for example, could be something that your admin would need to step in and help with. On-call procedures, who and how. Who are your primary points of contact and who are the backups? What are their areas of expertise? You can post schedules of their availability, phone numbers, and knowledge areas should they be needed. And conduct a procedural fire drill, if you will, and ensure your users are able to triage a situation and know how and when to contact Acoustic support. Practice and ensure everyone knows their responsibilities and a procedure to follow in order to troubleshoot the unexpected. Contacting Acoustic support. A few tips. Study the Acoustic Campaign Support Handbook in advance. I've shared a link here to the support handbook. Review it among your team. It contains all the support portal details on how to contact us. Are you an active support portal user? Visit the support portal and confirm access. Just log into Campaign. You'll see a help icon in the upper right corner. Click on the support headphone icon to launch the support portal sign-in. If you don't have access to the support portal, please check with your administrator. Once you do submit a support case, keep an eye on your cases and inbox for updates or requests for additional information. And something worth mentioning, I think, is please use a support portal versus sending an email directly to someone you might know here at Acoustic. Reason being, our support process includes extensive workflow and monitoring so that we can quickly assign your case and begin the troubleshooting process. Sign up. Be sure your team is signed up for email alerts from us for maintenance and service notifications. The sign-up form is shown here and also available in the support handbook. Also, the Home tab of the support portal is also a good place to check in frequently. There's an alerts and notifications section for important messages from the Acoustic team. Now for your support portal users, let's move on to some case creation tips. Here's what helps us help you. Take a few extra minutes and provide a thorough description and circumstances of the issue. Circumstances refer to the summary of what you've done and the outcome. It describes the path that raised cause for concern and ultimately led you to contacting us. What did or didn't happen exactly? What was your expectation? Things like that are important to have in your in your description. If date times are referenced, specify the applicable time zone, as we're found all over the world here. Time zones are really important to us so that we can convert them and align with our research and internal logging. Attach screenshots to the support case. This is a big one for me. A picture is worth 1,000 words, as they say. They add a visual context to the error and location within the product, and can capture other subtlety, other subtle clues that can help with troubleshooting. And one last tip, if you can reproduce the issue or error, please take a few extra moments to describe the steps that will result in the error or undesired outcome. Oftentimes we'll ask to become user, so if you've carefully outlined exactly where and what needs attention, we'll be able to hit the ground running once we get logged in. We like IDs. Yes, we like IDs. While drafting the case description, just a good tip here for us and for you, in addition to the name of the item in question, include the ID, whether it be a recipient, mailing, query, program, etc. Those IDs help us. We plug the IDs into some of our troubleshooting tools to really zero in on the item for specific details. Just hover over the item and the ID will be available as shown to the right there in the screenshots. Now we'll get into some tactical best practices within the campaign product. Prepare in advance. Time-sensitive mailings are common. Preparing the mailing in advance helps ensure a smooth sending experience when the time comes. So from the time you expect the mailing to be sent, work your way backwards and allow yourself time to build and get approvals for the mailing copy. Send the mailing to yourself and colleagues while testing personalization and dynamic content. Ensure your intended audience is identified and represented in your contact source, meaning, are your queries or static lists and database counts, are they accurate? Test the data integration, such as the Acoustic Exchange and Unica Campaign and CRMI. Be mindful of these additional data integrations that are responsible for updating and building out those intended audiences within your contact sources. Scheduling your mailing versus a send now provides a few benefits we can touch on. During the email send wizard, besides specifying all your delivery options and settings, you'll be able to perform a health check on your mailing, where you'll quickly find out if you have some items to address in order to build confidence that the mailing is set up for success. Secondly, pre-processing. Pre-processing gives your scheduled mailing a head start on preparing the contact source in advance of that desired send time. Depending on the size and complexity of the contact source, pre-processing will begin the necessary prep work of the mailing before your mailing is scheduled to be delivered. So in that setting, the duration you choose for pre-processing can be between 1 hour to 1 full day before the scheduled start time. Query optimization. You probably rely on queries to accurately target the correct audience at the correct time. This applies to mailings, automated programs, and other marketing workflows. So a few tips here is, calculate your queries ahead of time. Know what your query results should roughly be. Know your data, so you can be confident that the data processes are working as expected. When calculating queries, review the data job. Some queries take longer to calculate than others, depending on their complexity. For example, I've just jotted down here a few less than optimal criteria. contains, does not contain one of the following, starts with, does not start with one of the following. You know, these might add a little extra time to your query calculations. So look to see if these criteria are necessary or if you can simplify. If they are necessary, that's okay. It just may take a little longer for the queries to calculate. Overall, it's just a good practice to know how your configuration and your org and your data are performing. Gives you a baseline to work towards improving and alleviates surprises later. Landing page readiness. Here are quick, a few quick tips on ensuring your landing pages are set up properly and ready to go. Remember to always publish any changes you make. You know, you're in there, it's easy to make changes and click save, make some more changes, click save. It's looking good, but you also need to publish those changes for them to be live. Something I've done is set up a simple query that finds the web form submission, for easy monitoring. You can also use this query to spot check the form submissions as they're coming in and how they're updating your various fields on your database. And finally, visit your landing page as if you were the customer. Click through all the links and submit any web forms. Ensure it's behaving as you designed it. Automated programs, here's just a few quick tips for your automated programs. Are your contact sources ready? Again, data is everything on a lot of these topics. Check your contact source, make sure the criteria is correct and the results are accurate. And again, be aware of data integrations that are prerequisite to defining your program's target audience. Make sure those are in check and working as expected. Are your tracks and steps completely configured? Be sure your resources such as mailings, landing pages, etc., are finalized and incorporated where you need them within your program's flow. And program activation. Activate your program when appropriate. You can activate it in advance only if you enter in your desired start date on the program settings. Otherwise, it will start when you activate, so be mindful of that. Here's a tip. A suggestion would be to participate in the program. Encourage some colleagues to be program participants and assign them different actions so that they will be able to test and be processed according to the program's logic. Be sure the testers are sharing their program experiences with you and that things are working out as expected, when expected. SMS. Here are some tips in the spirit of being ready for your SMS marketing efforts. Be mindful of the following. Are your long and short codes provisioned and active? Long and short code take time to provision and activate on the various mobile carriers. Talk with your provisioning representative well in advance to ensure that they are ready when needed. And be sure to do some testing. We find often issues stem from the wrong SMS phone number format being imported into Campaign. Remember, SMS phone numbers are not validated upon import, so be sure they are in the correct format. And E164 format is the correct format. You can search our KC for more information on the E164 specification. But at a glance, the format cannot exceed 15 numbers, and they must include the country code, including United States numbers. So before importing a text file into SMS, or before importing a text file of SMS phone numbers, open your file in a text editor and review the phone number format. Look for numbers that are inconsistent with that E164 specification and get those corrected. One last tip, when targeting a large number of customers, try, if possible, to send early in the day since destination mobile networks may be experiencing a higher load. I guess beat the rush hour, if your timeline allows for that. Okay, let's move on to some readiness best practices and tips for our CRM integration. So just in general, kind of across the board guidance, plan your CRM upgrades well ahead of or after your peak periods. The CRM integration is a cooperative effort that relies on expertise and planning considerations with your CRM department. So have open communication with them. Complete major data syncs in advance of when you need the data for your marketing efforts. It can take several hours, with these really large databases, or even days to complete if your data syncs reach into the millions. So be aware of that. Your CRM administrator should be available for questions and tasks should they come up. Remember, it's a team effort between the marketing team and the CRM team for these integrations to work smoothly. So be sure you have your CRM administrator's contact information handy should you need it. One last tip, the CRM integrations are depending on a specified CRM user, to facilitate the sync. So it's good to be aware of that, who that user is, and be sure it remains active and credentials are kept current. As you can imagine, if the user was flagged as inactive by the CRM team, the integration would stop. So let's spend a few moments on monitoring these integrations. Monitoring the status of the CRM integration depends on if you're using our Salesforce.com, Dynamics CRM, and Sugar CRM integrations. So with Salesforce.com, there is a status screen found inside the campaign user interface on the Manage CRM screen. And monitor this status tab frequently. A red X will indicate a problem. Don't wait for someone to say, hey, something isn't right with the sync. Catch it early by being proactive and visiting this page regularly. Attention to principal users. So the principal user within Acoustic Campaign, you will be sent an email alert if the profile data sync, that top one, if that one fails for 24 hours. So be on the lookout. Again, just added awareness of job failures. You'll get an email notification, and only you will be sent that. And you meaning the principal user as defined within campaign. While we're still within the Managed CRM screen here for the Salesforce.com integration, getting ready for upcoming campaign and marketing efforts, confirm your mappings are ready. Make sure they're sufficient for your upcoming segmentation and data needs. Maybe the holidays bring in a different way to segment some people, and you're going to depend on some data coming from the CRM. So now's the time to get your mappings in place, and it's right there on the Field Mappings tab. And again, recognize that large data syncs can take several hours to complete. And don't forget to test and validate your field mappings. Make sure the data is arriving in their respective systems as you expect. Now we'll switch over quickly here to the Dynamics and Sugar CRM integrations. Now these two integrations are dependent on TIBCO's Scribe Online integration platform. That's a third-party integration platform that we use to move the data between Acoustic Campaign and CRM. So who are your in-house Scribe Online administrators? You should have more than one. If not, you can invite additional administration users, and don't forget to train them. You know, the Scribe Online platform is the heartbeat here for the data syncing back and forth. So we'll want to keep an eye on that. And monitoring, monitoring within the Scribe Online platform versus what we saw earlier on the Salesforce.com, kind of our own inside campaign status tabs. Here it'd be monitored inside the Scribe platform. Just a couple call outs here, solutions, these contain the maps and are responsible for the data syncs to and from CRM and their results. So as they're running every hour or however often the frequency has been set up, they're logging their results in the execution history right down below there. I'll add, common sync failures are renaming or deleting map fields without first unmapping them. That's almost a guaranteed sync failure if the integration continues to ask for fields from a CRM, for example, that no longer exist. And also, credentials. These integrations are depending on a CRM integration user and an acoustic API user. So if either of those user credentials or permissions change, that might surface as an error in this user interface. And finally, the bottom one there, opt into notifications, such as failed records and job execution failures. And that's access from the My Account drop down there within the Scribe Online platform. You'll be able to subscribe to different levels of alerts. And to finish up with the Scribe Online related integrations for Dynamics and Sugar CRM, we encourage your team to sign up for TIBCO's Scribe Online platform notifications on their Trust site. These are similar to Acoustic's maintenance notification subscriptions as mentioned earlier, but these will come directly from TIBCO. So, well, thanks everyone. This wraps it up for me. I'll pass control back over to Kate so we can continue on with some more holiday readiness topics.
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate your time and your tips. I'm going to turn it over to our next presenter, Bobby Griggs, who's going to talk further about Mobile Push. Bobby, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kate. As Kate mentioned, my name is Bobby Griggs, and I'm the Mobile Push Tech Lead for Campaign. Today I have a couple of points of client guidance for you to consider in the context of holiday readiness. In addition to all the great content covered by Lance with regards to Campaign generally, you should always ensure you're running a recent version of our SDK, our Mobile Push SDK. Typically, that means you don't want it to be older than, say, about 13 months. I've provided a couple of links here. The first is SDK release notes, and then, of course, our integration guides. You can always hop over to the SDK release notes and see what the latest versions of our SDKs are, and also you can see the dates they were released. An important point is, as you're moving into the holiday season, you certainly wouldn't want to release an updated version of your app very, very close to the holiday season. You typically want to update our SDK and update your app and release that maybe 6 to 8 weeks before the holiday season. And that's just to ensure that you don't have any issues, and any issues you have, you can have ironed out and maybe have another release of your app to ensure that any defects that might have impacted customers won't be there when you enter your season. And this last point really is just for emphasis. Best practices dictates that you don't release a new version of your mobile app for a major event, a holiday, or over a weekend. You want your staff to be there and available, and you definitely want to have some lead time to be able to ensure that any issues you have can be taken care of before you hit peak season. With that, I'll pass it back to Kate.
Thanks, Bobby. All right, so now we're going to move on to kind of the second phase of our presentation today, which is going to be driven by Laura. I'm going to take a moment here and turn her over to become the presenter. Laura, are you there?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. I'll turn the presentation over to you to talk further through your agenda points.
Okay, I'm just waiting for the presenter. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So thank you, Kate. As Kate previously mentioned, my name is Laura. I work in technical support. I currently support most of the products I will be covering today or have supported them in the recent past. So today I will be covering social audiences, performance insights, marketing assistant, the HCL Unica campaign integration, exchange, and the toolkit. Okay, so first, social audiences. You should confirm you are able to open social audiences from the acoustic menu and have social audiences load without issue or error. You should also check that any required social media platforms are mapped successfully to your social audiences account and fully configured as outlined on the social audiences settings page. Please also confirm you are able to access the integrated social platform and all required permissions are granted from within that platform. For example, you must have admin access to your Facebook ad account in order to use social audiences. Some suggestions when using social audiences: you can share sample audiences and create test campaigns in a pause state ahead of time to make sure all of the required data is accessible to your social audiences account and that no issues are seen. So for example, you need to make sure proper funding is available within your associated social platform in order to create a campaign. Even in a pause state, if there is no available funding, you will receive an error when trying to create your campaign. Another tip, if you are seeing issues when creating an audience within social audiences, you can check your Exchange account to monitor the audience share. From within Exchange, you can see the number of contacts shared, the status of the audience share, and any errors that may have been thrown. Okay, next I'll be covering performance insights. So again, you want to make sure you can click on the Performance Insights link on the acoustic menu and access the Performance Insights reports without issue. You should also make sure that once you access Performance Insights, you are able to load each of your reports and see the expected metrics load within each of the report widgets. For any issues accessing Performance Insights, we recommend trying to clear the browser cache and cookies, use another browser, and see if using the browser in private or incognito mode helps to resolve any local access issues. Otherwise, you can submit a case to our support team. Okay, moving along to Marketing Assistant. So in order to use the Assistant, you must first complete the setup process. First, you must submit a request to our provisioning team to enable this for your organization. This can be done by submitting a case in the support portal. Once you have heard back that your account has been provisioned, you will need to follow these steps to complete the setup. First, you will need to click the Watson logo on the top right of the navigation bar. Then you will type Start Setup in the Assistant input box. Next, you will navigate to Settings in the sidebar, then hover over Organization Admin, and then click Organization Settings. Then select and expand the Application Account Access entry. Then you would click the Add Account Access button, select the application called IBM Watson Marketing Assistant, as well as your account ID, and click Add. Within a few minutes of clicking Add, an email will be sent to the email address associated with your IBM ID account from the IBM Marketing Cloud team. Then you copy that user account refresh token in that email. So then next, you will paste that refresh token into the input in the Assistant conversation pane and click Submit. Assistant will begin loading your data, which can take up to 24 hours. To check the status, you can type "Show me the data load status" in the Watson Assistant entry field and click Enter. When all of your organization's historical data has been properly loaded, the following message shown to the far right of this slide will be displayed by the assistant. After this is complete, the users in your organization are now able to use the full set of Assistant for Marketing capabilities. You can further test that the setup has been completed successfully by asking various questions of the assistant. For example, shown here, you could type in "Show me all mailings from 2019. Okay, so now the HCL Unica integration. So the Unica campaign application is now supported by HCL. When working on this integration, Acoustic Support may ask you to reach out to the Unica campaign support team to troubleshoot or resolve an issue specific to Unica campaign itself. In order to troubleshoot any issues specific to Unica campaign, you will need to submit a case with the HCL Unica campaign support team. The link to their support portal is included in our holiday readiness guide. Please make sure you are registered and have access to the HCL support portal to engage the HCL support team of any issues when working with Unica campaign. When reaching out to the HCL Unica campaign support team, it is important to note the version of campaign you are using. This can be confirmed by clicking the Help drop-down menu on the top right-hand corner and selecting About IBM Marketing Software. When working with support, you should specify the full release number of platform and campaign down to the patch level. So for example, on the slide here, you'll see that this version is 10.1.0017. If referred to Unica campaign support from our Acoustic support team, please specify you have been referred by Acoustic support to submit the ticket and provide a brief summary of work that has been done already to troubleshoot. Okay, so now moving along to Exchange. You want to make sure your team members can log into the Acoustic Exchange interface successfully. They should also be aware of their account name and ID in case they do need to submit a case to our Exchange support team for assistance with their account. The account name and ID can be found within the Exchange interface by clicking on the username in the top right-hand corner. You should also confirm the status of all endpoints, events, and audiences within the Exchange interface. All endpoints should show as active on the Endpoints tab. All required events should show as active in the table view of the Events tab. And any required scheduled audiences should show as active within the Audiences Scheduled tab. You can monitor the event and audience activity from the main dashboard to ensure the expected data is being shared between your endpoints. To check a specific endpoint from the Dashboard tab, you can use the Event Publisher or Event Subscriber, or Audience Publisher and Audience Destination drop-down menus to narrow down the specific endpoint activity. You can also filter by a specific event using the Events drop-down. Okay, and lastly, the toolkit. So you want to make sure your team can access the Acoustic Exchange interface, as shown in the previous section, and that the toolkit endpoint is showing as active on the Endpoints tab. The toolkit should be installed in a location that is accessible to your team. Your team should ensure they can access all configuration files on the machine where toolkit was installed and be familiar with the file structure of the installation. Some important directories to be familiar with are the toolkit home/bin directory, where the scripts to upload and download events and audiences are, as well as register endpoints. Also, the app data directory will store event files that can be referenced in case of issues with the data downloaded from UBX. And last, the logs directory will generate log files that can be referenced for any issues that require troubleshooting. And then just some tips when using the toolkit. So first, when scheduling the event download script, ensure that there are no overlapping instances between executions. For example, while a single instance of event download is running, do not allow other instances to run in parallel, as it may result in conditions where Toolkit attempts to process a file for download where another instance has already deleted it. And then last, the Toolkit generated assets can grow rapidly, so you want to plan your backup strategies according to your usage requirements. And that's all I have for today, so I will pass it back over to Kate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Laura. All right. So thank everyone again for taking the time out of their day today to join us as we walk through the Acoustic Campaign and Acoustic Exchange Holiday Readiness content. As a reminder, any questions that were posted during today's webinar will be transferred and addressed via the Acoustic Campaign or Exchange support site. Any client or account-specific questions should be directed at us via ticket creation. Additionally, if you would like to download a copy of the campaign or exchange holiday readiness guidelines, you can access some of the helpful links and content within this presentation. You can do so by going into the WebEx chat and locating the link to the Acoustic Campaign and Exchange Holiday Readiness Program website. Finally, I'd also like to remind you that this webinar series is going on this week, and we have one more webinar scheduled for tomorrow. We will continue the 2019 Holiday Readiness webinar presentation on acoustic analytics. This will cover digital analytics and journey analytics, formerly known as WCXA. And you can register for this session on the same page that's posted within the chat, the Acoustic Holiday Readiness Program 2019 program page. And everyone, thank you for your time today, and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.